Hey, this is Brian from Banno. Today I'm going to demo Banno Mobile and Banno Online. Let's get started. We'll start with Banno Mobile, our native app for iOS and Android. When I first launch the app, you'll notice I can get in quickly with Touch ID. Behind Touch ID is a 4-digit passcode, so if I don't have Touch ID enabled, I would simply enter a 4-digit passcode and then I'd be in the app. The first time users download the app, they go through a short onboarding process. They're going to use the same credentials they use with NetTeller, username and password, and set up some initial things like the Touch ID and passcode. After that, they'll be in like this, Touch ID or passcode, and they're in the app. As simple as that. I'm going to first talk high level about the overall design of our app, and then we'll go down the menu and go through some of the features. We call this a card-based or tile-based, you can use those terms interchangeably, layout. So each card counts as a card, Ovation is a card, transactions is a card, deposits, payments are each cards. Each card can pack a lot of information, and that's why it's such a great design aesthetic. A lot of modern apps use this, everything from Facebook to Google now. We're seeing this more and more, and this has been a trend for the last couple years. The reason it's so popular is you can do a lot in a small amount of space with a card. So for instance, I can simply swipe across this card to see all my different accounts. I can also flip a card over, so I can get a little description about what that card is all about. And you'll see I can change the size of the card. So let's change this to our standard view. You'll now see when I'm swiping I have quick actions that are associated with each account, so transfer, pay a bill, or deposit. Down at the bottom you might have seen that you can organize the dashboard. Another great thing about cards is they're easy to move around. So this Ovation financial card, I can move to the bottom. I don't need to see that all the time. I can also add a new card. So as features get developed and things get introduced to your users, they have an opportunity to decide where they want to see that thing in the app. So this time I'm going to go ahead and add the Manage Cards. And I'm going to put that towards the bottom, because I don't think I'll need it all the time, but it might be handy. So when I hit Done, back up top, I'm going to go ahead and change this back to Summary View to keep it pretty minimal. Transactions, deposit card, payments, and here's that Manage Cards. So this card allows me to easily toggle my debit cards on or off. If I go into one of those, I can also report it as lost or stolen, or reorder or activate the card. So that's pretty handy. And then down at the bottom is where the Ovation card was moved to. The nice thing about this functionality is that this happens on a device-by-device level. And what I mean by that is the way I move my cards around on my iPhone is going to be different than the way I move my cards around on an iPad. And this makes perfect sense. When I'm on my iPhone, most likely I'm wanting to get into the app and look at my balances rather quickly. I just need to see how much money I have. If I'm on my iPad, that's usually a different use case. I'm either on my couch at home or even late at night when I'm laying in bed. And that use case is most likely I'd probably want to take a closer look at something. So I may lay things out a little differently, or I may choose to do a more expanded view of one of the tiles or cards. So in this case, changing the transactions card to expanded, you'll see I get more information and more transactions in a single snapshot. But for this case on my iPhone, I just want to keep it standard or summary. So overall, that's the design that Banno includes with their app. Now one thing that you might have noticed when we first came into the app is the overall colors and branding of the app. Even the background color that you can kind of see as I pull down the app of that mountain landscape. All of that is obviously completely customized to the financial institution. You actually get to work directly with a designer, so if you have brand guidelines, specific hue colors you want to see, certain background images, we work directly with you and you go through a great design process and you get to see the theme come to life and you approve everything before your app gets put into the App Store. So now that we understand at a high level the overall design and user interface of the app, let's take a look at some of the features. We'll pop open our menu here and just work our way down. Up top, you'll notice that there's a plus button. This allows you to add a profile. So this lets you switch between different accounts at Ovation Financial. So if you have a business account that's separate from a personal account, or if you're on a shared device like an iPad that you share with a significant other and they have a set of credentials, this allows you to add that profile and then very easily switch between the two. Messages, which you'll see I have one new message. This is really an inbox for your users. Two types of messages flow into this view. There's messages that happen automatically, different types of alerts, such as a low funds alert, or in this case, you can see on the screen a deposit alert, a deposit has been made, or your account has been approved for RDC. The second type of message that flows into here are marketing messages, or messages from the financial institution. We have one in here from March 20th about an auto loan. So on the back end within Banno People, you all have the opportunity to create marketing messages, include images, link out to your website, and push that out to all of your users. You pick out what time the message should be sent and if it should be sent with a push notification. When I get that push notification, obviously that pops up on my phone. I can swipe it and then I'm taken into the app to see the message. And from here, the user can interact with it, either clicking out to your website or deleting the message. If we go to the accounts, we already saw the accounts overview on the dashboard, but here's another look and just breaking the accounts down by different type. And let's go into one of these accounts. We'll go into our Ovation checking account. When we first go into the account, we get a nice overview. We can see a graph of our balance history to see how we're trending. And then from there, we can go even deeper. We'll go into transactions. So now we're looking at a list of transactions for our Ovation 0002 account, checking account. As we scroll down, one thing you'll notice is that we just can keep scrolling and the transactions just load. And that's intentional. We believe that transactions should load the same way your Twitter timeline loads, or your Facebook timeline, or your Instagram timeline. And that may sound funny, but it's true. These are interactions that we all are used to. When we're not checking our bank account, those are the apps we're using, right? We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and that's the way those apps work. You just swipe, 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 scroll, 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 scroll all day long, and things just load super fast. We don't even think about it anymore. So we think transactions should load the same way. So we've worked really hard to make it so that our transactions load incredibly fast and that you can just keep scrolling for days and get the transactions you need. This is also true of search. We don't believe you should have to type a whole word and then hit enter or pick out a time frame or time parameters. If we just start typing, I'm looking for ATM, you see I type just 2 letters, even just AT, they start to come up so I can see the last time. Oh yeah, there it is, there's that ATM transaction I was looking for. So again, as you type, just like Google and just like the modern web, things are just going to start appearing, and it's fast. You can quickly find the transaction you need. If we actually will go back into that and take a look at a specific transaction, and here's a good one. We're looking at this one from Wednesday, July 5th, Reams Food Stores in Omaha, and I remember this one, and I'll tell you why. I was actually on a business trip for this, so I'm going to go ahead and tag it as business. That will remind me to do my expense report. And each time you add a tag, it's going to ask you if you want that tag created just for that transaction or all transactions. So we'll go ahead and do it just for this transaction. And then we can also add a note. So Reams Food Store in Omaha, Nebraska. I was traveling all day long, and I decided to go to Reams and spend an incredible amount of money on junk food. So $74.91 on late night junk food. And that was not a good night, let me tell you. So I ended up being sick. I was questioning my decision. And overall, it was just bad. Thumbs down, right? So you can go ahead and add a note in there. We'll hit done. The nice thing about the notes is they just appear inline. So it's a great way, as you're scrolling down your transactions, you can very quickly kind of see, one, where you tag the transaction, but two, that you added a note. And this will always be a reminder to me that I should never eat late night food at Reams Food Stores in Omaha, Nebraska. The last thing that you see there was the ability to attach an image. So if we attach an image, that could be something of a receipt, or I could have taken a picture of my $74.91 of junk food. But it's another great way to remind yourself or call something out as you're scrolling through your transactions. We'll back our way out of this. We'll go back to the menu. We'll go to transfer. Transfer is a pretty straightforward flow. You can see your upcoming scheduled transfers, but if we want to go ahead and make a transfer, we're doing some best guessing here, picking out the accounts we think you're going to transfer to, and we have some logic behind that. But if those aren't the accounts you're wanting to make a transfer to, you can easily switch them by touching those arrows there in the middle, or obviously just picking out which account you want to transfer to and from. Simply enter the amount. If we tap more options, we're going to get options to say if we want this to happen today, tomorrow, schedule it for next week, and the frequency. So we can do just a one-time, do weekly, or monthly. In this case, we'll just do an immediate one-time transfer of $100. We'll hit submit. And then that transfer has been submitted. Back in the menu, we'll go to deposit check. You can see the accounts that I have enrolled for RDC. We'll go ahead and deposit a check, enter the amount, pick out the to account. Now obviously if I take a picture of my keyboard, that's not going to work, it's going to air out, so I'll just cancel out of that. But you would take a picture of the front of the check, a picture of the back of the check, you get a review screen to see both, and then you submit. If there's any errors or problems, you'll get notice that right away. It will tell you and have you retake the image. Otherwise, if everything's all good, it will go through and you'll get that same green confirmation check mark and screen that says your deposit has been made. Under payments, we can go ahead and make a payment to one of the payees we already have set up. But if we need to create a new payee, we can go ahead and do that from within the app. So we hit the plus button, and then we can either add a company or we can add a person for the P2P payment as well. If we wanted to make a payment to AT&T, we can go into AT&T and get a review of the recent payments we made in our payment history. And let's go ahead and make a payment. So we'll pay AT&T $100. Pick out our from account. And then we're choosing when we want to schedule that payment. So we can go ahead and just do a standard delivery. Otherwise, we can pick out a future date if we're making this in advance. Or we see some options for rush payment and the associated fee with that decision. So I can rush it overnight for $19.95 or rush it for second day for $14.95. In this case, we're going to go ahead and do a standard delivery. At the end, you get a nice overview to really understand what's happening with that payment. We can see that it's processing on July 25th, and then the estimated arrival is August 2nd. That all looks good, so let's go ahead and submit the payment. That payment has been submitted. The last area of the app I'd like to show you is settings. And here is where you can go ahead and change your passcode or enable or disable Touch ID. Also, under the account settings, if we go into Ovation Financial, there's a bunch of options that you can choose to do on each account. So for each account, you can set up low balance alerts, you can prioritize the accounts, you can decide if you want that account to show or not show in the app. And lastly is that intro tutorial. This is the tutorial that I mentioned earlier that users are welcomed with after they've gone ahead and entered their NetTeller credentials and gone through the onboarding process. They can obviously skip this, but we found that some users like to keep it and reference it from time to time as they get used to the new user interface. This tutorial is really short, but it takes users through a lot of the things I was showing at the beginning of the demo. How to swipe accounts, how to flip cards over, and how to move cards around. Go ahead and skip that and back out of it. So that's Banno Mobile. Let's move on to Banno Online. As you can see, I've headed over to my desktop and I've launched a browser, and I've headed to the production build that we have of Ovation Financial. So this is just a sneak peek at what is live and in production today, and we've actually turned this on for a handful of institutions. This fall, we'll go into a beta with several of our customers, and over the next several months of that beta, those customers will start to decide when Banno Online is ready for them to launch with their customers. We plan to be fully GA, generally available, by spring of 2018. However, with that said, several of our customers will be really aggressive, and they'll want to launch right away. We've quickly learned that GA means something different for every customer. So some of our customers will say, hey, we're good with this. As soon as you have this feature in production and we've tested it, let's go. We want to launch with our customers. Other customers will say, nope, we want this feature, this feature, this feature. We really need this to replace everything that NetTeller has today. Then they're going to wait for that full GA launch later in the spring of 2018. So we say GA of spring 2018, but we've also realized that GA means something different for all of our customers, and that's important to call out. So again, what you'll see today is just a few of the features, and we'll update this video frequently, but you'll get a look at what's live and running in production today. So I'll go ahead and sign in with those same NetTeller credentials that we originally used to authenticate into Banno Mobile. And there, I'm in the app. You'll quickly see that everything carries over from the design, that same background color, the same background image, the hues and the colors, everything obviously translates over. We really want to blur those lines between a native app and a web app, and rightfully so. We call these things Banno Mobile and Banno Online, but really we like to come up a level higher and just say Banno Apps, because that's what it is. People don't really think about if it's mobile or if it's online or desktop anymore. It's just Ovation, right? It's just Instagram, it's just Facebook. So again, we want them thinking it's just the financial institution. I used Ovation today. I checked my balance on Ovation. That could have been in a browser, could have been on a watch, could have been through Google Home, all of these devices, right? So as this transcends over, we carry everything over. And with it being responsive, if I shrink my browser here, you'll quickly see that everything just works the way it should. This is responsive design in a modern web app. I still have my menu, so I can still get to all the features. If I'm on a larger device, maybe an iPad, it might look something like this. But you get the idea. It's fully responsive and everything's functional and looks great. So you can start to see some of the features we have in production. We obviously see all of our accounts. You can see our activity, see what's coming up. These are some of the transfers we made in Banno Mobile. We can make a transfer. So transfers is in production today, just like we saw in Banno Mobile. Picking out the to and from account, our amount. We have more options for if we want to schedule that transfer for a later date and set up the frequency. And we can go into one of our accounts and we start to get the account details. So we can see all of our transactions, scheduled activity, get a nice balance history graph, and search is available as well. So we can search for a month, or you can search for a specific day. Again, our search is just fast and just displays. Search is a good area that we've started, and it's in there today, but we'll continue to build that out. We give you some suggestions of what you can search with today, and that will continue to grow over time to get more specific. We can quickly switch between accounts from this view, which is really nice. You can just switch over from one account to the next, so I don't have to go back to the dashboard. We get into a personal line of credits. We start to see those loan details, the amount borrowed, the date, the rate, and then my payoff balance. And then from here, I can go ahead and pay as well. Under the profile, we're going to start to see some of the settings. Some of this is a little bare today, but we have some of it coming in, such as card controls. So from here, under each account, on my cards that are associated with that account, I can go ahead and use those same features that we saw in Banno Mobile. Reporting the card as lost and stolen, locking the card, reordering the card, etc. So again, as time goes on each month, you'll start to see Banno Online come to life in this production build. And like I said, we have this themed out and actually installed on production for a few of our institutions, and they're beginning to do some initial testing with us. As we get deeper into the fall, we'll open up that beta and really start going through testing with some of those partners. And then over the course of the next year, some of these institutions will start to roll it out. But springtime of 2018 is really when Banno Online will be fully GA. So that's a quick look at Banno Online to give you a look at what's in production and live today. We'll continue to update this video and show you each new features as it becomes live on production. Thanks for taking the time today for looking at Banno Mobile and Banno Online. Until next time.